Hi everybody, welcome back to my modeling channel. So today we're going to build an Revell E190 on scale 1/44 from Revell. So let's open the box and see what we have inside. So we're going to start initially with the decal sheet and the instruction sheet. As you can see, it's a real A4 format booklet. Lots of information, as you can see. Then you have the kit description with all the parts. Make sure that you have everything, and the kit is pretty straightforward. You have a pre-build of the cockpit, so that can be sometimes useful depending on what you want to do, of course. But on my side, I will mainly use decal for the cockpit and the passenger window, so I won't have to work on that. I'll have to fill everything up, but you know, some people likes to I did some in the past, and it's also quite enjoyable. So as you can see, the kit is pretty straightforward. All the information are really well detailed, so this is a very nice one. Also a good part of those Revell decals, I have to say, you have all the structure panel and they are very good quality. So sometimes you change delivery, but keep all those parts, those extra decals. They will be very useful to you to give you enough details. Now let's move on to the kit itself. So we have mainly 3 screws. The first one is clear part. That's basically just a cockpit window. So that's the first part, and now the second screw basically is the left fuselage with the wing, engine. You have all the details of the engine and the left engine. You have the cockpit, of course, and the part of the undercarriage. So if you see, I don't know if you can see correctly from here, but you have all the structure panel and panel lines are in a very fine engravement, so that's going to allow us to do some details, and it's going to be a little bit easier. Now we're going to move to the second part, the third screw of the kit, the last part. You got the right fuselage. All the passenger windows are here, but you don't have any clear parts, so you'll have to fill them up either with some microcrystal clear, which I normally don't use very much. But for my side, I will fill them up with some glue and then make a filling with some putty. But that's entire up to you. Of course, we have the wings, the engines, you have the fan disc, and more details for the undercarriage and the flaps fairing. And that's conclude our kit review. So enough of talking, and let's start building. So we're gonna start this build by preparing all our parts. So we're gonna start initially with the fuselage and then the wings. So initially I will put the cockpit and the nose wheel well into the fuselage, and then I will add some weight with using some modeling paste, and then of course we will close our fuselage with regular glue. Further this, we will fill all the passenger windows with glue, and then we will use some Tamiya putty to be able to close all those windows, as we will use later on passenger window decals. After that, we're gonna move on to the main landing gear wheel well. We're gonna add those parts to the underbelly of the aircraft, and then we're gonna close the wings. After finishing our fuselage, we will then fill up all the passenger windows and all the gaps between the two parts of the fuselage with some Tamiya putty.
So with this we're gonna fill them up, and then of course we're gonna let them cure for a couple of hours. After finishing filling the gaps of our wings, now we're gonna paint the fan disc, and for this I will use the Corrugator colors, which is a mix of light gray color and metallic paint. Then we're gonna add the engine intake, and for this we'll use a very light gray color. Further that, we're gonna basically paint the engine cones or the fan cones with a matte black, and after that we're gonna move on to removing all the extra putty on the wings, fuselage. It's now time for a second layer basically of putty, and the passengers' windows are normally quite difficult to really feel on the first run, so you always have to take into account the second run to fill all those passenger windows. Then we're gonna move on to the engines, and we're gonna get the parts ready, and of course add the engine core. Then move on with the turbine exhaust, and then we'll move on with the fan disc. We're now going to move toward the flaps fairing, so we're gonna prepare basically all the parts. There is a little bit of adjustment, just a little bit of extra plastic, and then we're gonna fix them on the trailing edge of each wings. So we're now going to start rescribing all the panel lines were filled up with some putty. So for this initially I use a razor blade saw and then a rescribing tool just to be able to remove all those parts. Then we're gonna move on to closer to the final assembly, where we're gonna add the wings to the fuselage, and we're just gonna use regular Revell glue for that, and then we're gonna let it cure and fill the gaps, of course, with some more putty. We're now going to close the engines with the engine anti-ice, and then we'll have, of course, to fill all the little gaps with a little bit of extra grey putty, and we'll do that just all around that engine. Then it's going to be time to move on to the paint booth, and we're going to start using a light grey color for the underbelly of that Revell E190. So we're gonna go back now to work on our engines, and we're gonna remove all the extra putty. Our second layer will be the wings, basically, and the stabilizer, and for this I will use a very light grey color. It's a mix of basically glossy white and light grey color that I've been using for the underbelly. The proportion is normally, I would say, 2/3 of white or 3/4 of white for the remain of grey. And of course we're gonna also paint the engine pilot on that color. After this we're gonna move on to the anti-ice. So for this, that's the leading edge. Of course there will be the APU exhaust, and of course the anti-ice will be done as well on the engines. Last part will be the overhaul of clear white or shiny white all over the fuselage, and that's for the upper part and the tail. And of course the overhaul is still using the same old glossy white for Tamiya, and then of course we will have to paint our engines. After removing all the protections, I realized that there were a little bit of a mess basically on the leading edge, so I had to do some paint touch-up using the same color before processing my decals. So for this it will be a Baboo Airways livery, and they are made by Nazca Decals. I've been working with Gaston for many years now, and I have to say that these decals are always a very good quality. Very easy to handle, to work with, very thin and very forgiving. So it was a real pleasure again to work on those with those decals. So initially the decals were quite simple, especially for delivery. There was mainly the airline title were with the passenger windows, and then we have the logo basically on the tail. So that was quite basic, but that's the Swiss Regional Airline that I wanted to do for quite some time now. Now we're gonna paint a red ring basically around the engines, which are part of the livery, and after that we're gonna start working on the undercarriage, painting basically the tires on the wheels, and for this using still the same matte black color. After finishing the engine assembly, we are now going to add those decals for the structure, basically decals for the aircraft, and the emergency escape route on the upper part of the wing. Then of course we're gonna add some more details toward the tails and finish up all the decaling process of that aircraft. Adding up some last details, I'm gonna put some rotating beacon as well, and then of course painted in red, and after that there will be also just some paint touch up on the tail, on the fin. Basically there was some issue as well, the decal were not as big as they were supposed to, and now the final part is just adding the engines and the stabilizer, and then we'll be ready for the display. And this is the final result of our Embraer 190 from Fly Baboo. I hope you enjoyed that build with me. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you soon for another kit review and build video. Thank you for watching.